What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you tuning in. So I wanted to go through a workflow that I built for a current client of mine, a staffing and recruitment agency. This is for fulfilling lead generation services with cold email. It's a workflow that's working really well for us, and I just wanted to dive through it just to document my progress. And if anybody else has a staffing or recruitment client or firm and you need more leads, this is a really good way to scrape jobs really easily, totally automated, and then match that with the right hiring manager, and then completely clean and enrich the data all in one nice sweep, and customize each template, each cold email. It works really, really well and really fluidly. So it's something that I was scratching my head over for a while, and I went and rebuilt this workflow about 3 or 4 times, and I have what I feel like is a great finished product, at least for right now, but I'm always improving. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is the very high level, and then I'll run through Clay, Apollo, and everything and how this all fits. This, I timed it today, and being very generous, this will take you maybe 45 minutes. I can easily do this in about 20 minutes now that I know what I'm doing. So first step, this is high level, is we're going to scrape LinkedIn jobs. I won't do all this. I might just do 1 or 2 jobs just to show it to you really quickly. But first, you're going to scrape LinkedIn jobs using Apify. Then we're going to clean that job data in Clay, and I'll show you my actual Clay table and workflow. It's super simple, very easy. It's all automated. Third, we're going to go out and find who might be the potential hiring managers for these jobs in Apollo, and then we're going to clean up all that job data and all the contacts, identify who's most likely to be the hiring manager for the job in Clay again, and then we fire that off to Smart Lead. So without further ado, let's go into this. So first off, we're going to go to LinkedIn jobs, and very classic example, I have a software developer search that I pulled up. So all I did was I went to the jobs tab in LinkedIn, and I typed in the position that I'm looking for, software developer. And if you have a staffing and recruitment agency as a client, hopefully you've noted down all the jobs that they're likely to or that they want to place, whether they have a niche or just positions that they've placed in the past, whatever it might be. So this particular client of mine, a big niche of theirs is tech, and they have specific job titles in there with salary thresholds that they prefer, so on and so forth. So I did the search accordingly. So in this case, it's a software developer, and we're filtering for software developers over $100,000, so on and so forth, mid, senior level, associate, director, executive. This is the past 24 hours, but I probably do this for the past week to just give myself a better shot at getting them more volume. But this is just for example in this video. And then you can sort by job type, whether it's full-time, temporary, or contract roles, hybrid, remote, on-site, so on and so forth. You can pick location, but this is my search is very general. The main thing I'm looking at is title, how recently the job was posted, and then salary, right? Because I don't want my client getting leads for jobs that don't pay them well. And the whole goal is to make them more than they pay us. So this is the search. Right? This is the search. This is it. This is all of step 1. This is the entire thing, or this is pretty much step 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to scrape all these jobs that come up in the search. So if you look really closely, let me just double check to make sure this is recording. Yes, it is. Okay. So if you look really closely, this has 526 results, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the URL. You're just going to copy the URL right at the top. Let me make sure you guys can see that. You guys can't see that. All right, hold on. You guys can't see that. What I'm doing is I'm copying the URL of this page, right? I don't want to mess with the recording right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Apify, right? So this is apify.com. When you go to apify.com, it'll look like this, right? And what you would do is type in LinkedIn job. Just like that, just LinkedIn job, and it'll give you a bunch of scrapers. I'm pretty sure I used this one right here. I'll find out in a second, right? It's advanced LinkedIn job scraper. So you're going to click on that. You can use any of those, but I've sorted through them and I kind of like this one best. So you're going to click and you're going to paste, or you're going to open this, excuse me. Yes, this is the one I used. So now with this one, what you would do is you'd paste the URL right in here, right? Just like that. And with this user agent, you can leave this blank as it says it's optional. I just find it doesn't bug out as much when it's scraping when I fill this in. So to fill this in, you would literally just click this little question mark right here, and then you would click this right here. All right, this is probably going to give like my IP address or something like that, so I don't want to do that in front of you guys, but that's what you would do. And it would take you to a Google page, and you just copy that. It will take you to a Google search, excuse me, and right at the top of the Google search, it'll show that information. You just copy it and you paste it right in here. Super simple. All right, now you have this spot here for cookies. This helps refine the search. It helps make sure that you're actually scraping the jobs that you want. It's the right search. So this URL by itself isn't enough. You're going to need the cookies. So I have this extension, which you guys cannot see. Maybe you can actually. No, you can't. I have this extension called Edit This Cookie. It's a Chrome extension. Can you guys see that? Wow, you guys can't see that, huh? Okay. It's called Edit This Cookie. Let me just type it out for you guys. Hold on. Edit this cookie. All right, here we go. Edit this cookie. This right here. Make sure you guys can see that. Yeah. So you're gonna get this Chrome extension right here. All right. You can get it by going to this Chrome Web Store, which is that second link, and you're just going to add that. So what that's going to do is it will allow you. I really want to show you guys this. It won't let me do it though. Probably because it's just a window capture. Anyway, what you would do is you click on the little Chrome extension once you have it installed, and it lets you copy the cookies. It's very easy when you download it. If you need help with that, just leave a comment at the end of this video. But I can teach a third grader how to do that. So you would just copy the cookie, sort of the way you're copying the URL, and you would paste it in this blank spot right here, and it'll look something like that. If it's wrong, it'll let you know, right? It just won't run properly. Okay. And then from there, you can leave this blank. Because if you want the entire search, you just leave that blank. And I didn't touch anything else, but you want to make sure you have this toggled. You want to make sure you have this toggled because this is going to give you company details like how many employees the company has, which is important if you only want to target companies with a certain amount of, a certain range of employees, which I do on behalf of my client. And it'll give you other information that you're probably going to need. These other two, you can leave blank, right? Like the skills requirements that'll come in the job description, which you'll already get. This will give you the job details, like, if there are benefits and stuff like that, but usually that's in the job description. Stuff you don't need, the hiring manager will give that to your client anyway when they're in a meeting. So I'm going to run this. Make sure you guys can see. All right, so I'm going to run this and I'm going to stop it early because I don't need all the jobs here. So this is going to run as such, and you'll be able to see the output right here. So it's already scraping jobs. You can see it already has one result. If you look right up here, right? I'm just going to wait until it gives me maybe 2 or 3 or 5. So we're going to let this run, and then it has 17 already. So I'm going to hit abort right there. Don't do that in a actual run. You're just going to let it run entirely, right? But in my case, I'm just doing this as a demonstration. So I aborted it early just to save myself some cash. But as you can see, it's very cheap to run. Very, very, very cheap, right? Got 23 results scraped. So 23 job postings scraped, and it costed me $0.004. So now what you're going to do is you're going to export this. You're going to hit export right there, and you're going to export it as a CSV. And you can start to see the fields that it comes with, right? You can see the company website, benefits, company name, which are a lot of the stuff you're going to need, description text, so on and so forth. Some of the stuff you don't need, like the company logo and stuff like that, right? But, salary insights. Let's see, job description, where it says description text, everything you're going to need that's essential. Okay. So now you hit download, and that's done. So all in all, in real time, that would have taken you, like if you're scraping maybe 1,000 jobs, that would have taken you between 5 and 10 minutes. As you can see, it was very quick for me. So I hit download, and I now have that spreadsheet in my downloads. Step 2 is we're going to go to Clay. I'm telling you guys, this is the easiest thing ever. Just follow this. If you want me to make a more in-depth video on building this entire Clay table from scratch, I can definitely do that with you. So you're going to go to Clay, and you're going to build out a table that looks like this. Well, let me not scare you. Hold on, let me not scare you. So what you're going to do here, I will duplicate this for you, and I'll show you what it looks like if I didn't already have this data. So this is what it would look like, right? So you wouldn't have these column headers or anything like this yet, but what you're going to do is you're going to hit actions. So pretend these column headers aren't there. This is just a totally blank table, not formatted, nothing, right? So you're going to hit actions on the top right. Again, let me make sure you guys can see this. Okay. Sorry guys, it's very, the font is very small. You're going to have to zoom in, but I will try and narrate what I'm doing. So you're going to hit actions on the top right. You're going to hit import. And then you're going to select import from CSV right here. And you're just going to import that spreadsheet. I'm going to drag and drop it. The spreadsheet that we downloaded from Appify. All right. You're going to leave everything as is. So this is going to be checked. Leave everything as is. It's going to say add to current table. Just leave it as is and hit continue. All right. Now, you're going to have all these columns on the left that are in the spreadsheet you just downloaded. All right. So all the benefits, the company address, so on and so forth. A lot of stuff that you don't necessarily need. Right. As you can see, there is 73 columns in the spreadsheet that you downloaded from Appify, the one you scraped from LinkedIn. We don't need 73 columns. A lot of that data is not important. Here's what I import. I import the URL to apply for the job, even though it's not needed. I'll leave that out in the future. I'll probably end up deleting that column. And by the way, before I continue, once you do this once, what you should do if you haven't built out this table is import all the columns and then just delete the columns you don't need, so that when you import another spreadsheet in the future, because you're probably going to be scraping jobs a lot for your client. Once you build this out once, you delete the columns you don't need and it's nice and clean. When you import the spreadsheet for a new scrape into the future, it automatically maps to the columns that you've built, which are on the right in Clay. So that's nice. I hope that made sense. So I import the company description, the company LinkedIn URL, company name, company website, the job description text, the employment status. Feel free to pause this video or put on 0.5 speed if you need to catch this. The location of the job, salary insights, so the minimum salary and then the maximum salary, because it gives you a range on LinkedIn, and this stuff gets scraped. And then the title of the job position, which you're definitely going to need. So then I just press add to table and I press save and don't run. I'm just superstitious like that. I don't want to use any of my API or AI credits or anything like that. Okay. So this is starting to import. You don't see it right now because I have some filters. So let me delete these. All right. So it's importing right now. So these are all the jobs that I scraped. Okay. So as you can see, these are the columns that were imported, right? Not every column has data, which is totally fine. So you have the company name. Again, these are all from LinkedIn. You can look each one of these up on LinkedIn and you'll find the job. So you have the company name, you have the company description, so the description of the company. You have the company LinkedIn URL, then you have the job position description, the job description. You have the type of role, whether it's full-time, contract, salary, whatever it is. I selected only full-time. You have the minimum and maximum salaries. This is not showing because there was some kind of data issue, but that's totally fine. I already know it's over $100,000. You have the position of the jobs, the actual job. Excuse me. I almost choked there for some reason. So you have the title of the job position. So I did software engineers, but it pulled up a bunch of software engineer roles and also closely related roles like data engineer, DevOps engineers, front-end developers. That's fine. I'm not too strict about that. Hold on, guys. I gotta get some water 1 second. All right, I'm back. So you have the job title, you have the company website, and that's that. That's pretty much it. Also, we imported the location of the position, but as you can see, a lot of these just say United States because they're remote jobs. If they're hybrid, it shows the exact city, but for this particular client, they preferred remote/hybrid jobs, which is pretty much the standard in 2025. So I have a couple of columns that I've added that are not that did not come from the spreadsheet. So that's this right here, the company URL. This is just to clean up the company URL that was scraped from LinkedIn, because sometimes it's a bit messy, right? It's a bit messy. Yeah. Sometimes it has like slash something 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 here, like play.google.com. Like it's a Google Play website, right? So I have this, and this right here, I'm using ChatGPT 4.0 Mini, the integration, API integration. So this is with my personal account, as you can see right here. Not Clay. I'm not using any Clay credits. It's expensive. The prompt is something to the effect of, so review the company name, right? So I tagged the company name from this column or right over here. So review the company name, the company website, and find and output the company URL, right? So give me the company URL based on the company's name and based on the company's website, and output it without any www dot or HTTPS at the beginning. None of that messy stuff that you have. That you have with stuff like this. I just want clean URLs, right? So I'm gonna run these for you guys, and maybe run the first 10 here. I'll do all of them. And I'm going to run all of these, and you will see in real time that this is just going to give me the URLs, and I'll tell you why that's important. So it gives me the URLs, and I decided to take the URL response that it gives me. So I'm just going to click on any one of these cells, and you can see right here it gives you a bunch of different data points. ChatGPT gives you a bunch of different data points, like how much time it took, how much that individual request costed, and then it gives you the actual final response that we see in the cell right up here. I decided to put this response in its own column just to make it easier to copy and paste into Apollo, right? So that's why I did that. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to highlight all of these just manually, and I'm just going to press Command C. Right, I'm just going to copy this, right? And I'm going to, this staffing firm thing was from another table, so just ignore that. I should probably delete that. So that's it. That is the entire step of step 2. Did I get that right? Hold on. I feel like I missed something. Okay, I did miss something. Sorry, guys. So we're going to copy this and paste it into Apollo. But before we do, in step 2, right, we got to do a couple things. So in step 2, make a sticky note. Make this bigger. In step 2, we have 2 jobs, 2 goals, 2 purposes. We have to filter out any recruitment firms. Because a lot of times on LinkedIn jobs, a lot of these guys are recruitment firms, right? So this one right here, this job posting is for Windows Server Engineer, but this is not Microsoft posting this or the original, like the direct company. This is a staffing and recruitment firm, this company right here. And so we don't want to reach out to them. We want to reach out to the actual company that's hiring for the role, right? So in step 2, we got to remove any recruitment firms. Make this smaller. So that's number 1. And then number 2, can't believe I almost missed this part, guys. This is crucial. We are going to remove any companies with more than a certain number of employees. You don't have to do this step if you're targeting any company. My client, we like to target ranges. Well, I'm testing this out, see how I can get them the most leads. And of course, we want to target any companies that are big companies, right? Think of like Ford or GM or GE or Apple. Like, they'd love to place candidates at these companies. Right now, we're just starting with a bit of a niche. So let's just say 500 employees, right? Just for example's sake. I'm not saying that this is the end all be all, but this is where we like to sort of clean the job data. Because in LinkedIn, you can't necessarily filter out companies with more than a certain number of employees. Like, you might have a company like Oracle in here with 30,000 employees, right? They, a lot of times those guys have their own recruiting process down pat. They don't really work with staffing agencies. And I know this because I was a recruiter. So we're going for a certain range of employees here. So what I'm going to do here is a couple things. First off, from the spreadsheet that we imported, usually it has the industry. Did it not import? Okay, I guess I didn't import because I selected because I did not select this right here, scrape more details, which is fine. I don't need that. And that actually makes the scraping process a lot longer than it needs to be. And it gives you, instead of like 70 columns in the spreadsheet, it gives you like, I think it was like 120 or something like that. And that takes a long time to figure out. So the easier way to do this is, you might have an industry column here, but I don't. But if you did, what you would do is you would right click on the industry column, you would press filter, and then you'd press where industry does not contain any of, and then you put staffing, you put recruitment, things like that. But that doesn't count for here, so let me not confuse you, okay? Now, the second way to do that is you make a column like this one. So I know I said this doesn't matter, but it actually really does. So sorry about that. So you're going to make a column here to identify if these companies are staffing firms and recruitment firms. We want to get rid of them. Just get rid of them, right? So I have a prompt that looks like this. And you can kind of just use voice to text in ChatGPT, like actual ChatGPT. And just talk into it and then tell ChatGPT to give you a prompt that you can put into ChatGPT. So it would be like, hey, ChatGPT, this is what I'm trying to do, trying to filter out recruitment firms. Can you organize what I'm telling you right now and give it to me in a prompt that I can use to give back to you to help filter out these staffing and recruitment firms? So nice and simple. And then it'll give you something like this, right? So long story short, the gist is, here's the context. You're tasked with determining whether a company is a staffing and recruitment firm or anything similar to that, right? Based on the company name, the company description, the company URL that we just got in these two columns, right? And then I would give it an example, right? So if the company name says Acme Staffing Solutions and the company description is we provide recruitment and workforce solutions, you output, yes, this is a staffing firm. If the company name is like Tech Innovators and the company description is we're a software development company, you output, or it would output, no, this is not a staffing and recruitment firm. Very simple. You hit save. Let's get out of there. And then we'll run all these. And you'll see in real time, it'll output yes or no very quickly. So this is step 2. All in all, I know I'm talking and narrating what I'm doing, but all in all, I timed this. This step took me 10 minutes and I was being very generous in organizing things. So really it would take me maybe 5 to 7 minutes. So this is nice because you can do this every morning. You can do this as a last task in your day, just to make sure you're continuing to get leads for your client or for your own staffing and recruitment firm. There we go. So as you can see, where it says yes, it means this is a staffing and recruitment firm. Where it says no, it means you're good. This is the regular company. This is the actual company that's hiring for the role. So let's just double check. Always want to double check. So this says yes. This is a staffing and recruitment firm. So let's just double check and see for ourselves. So I'm going to open up their website, but you really wouldn't even have to do that. You can just scroll over and check the company descriptions. Funny enough, this company description is blank, so it's good that we were able to use the website. So let's copy the company URL and let's just double check. And you can clearly see that this is a talent sourcing company, i.e. a staffing and recruitment firm, right? Honest Staffing Solutions, permanent placement, executive search, niche sourcing. So staffing and recruitment firm. And I've run this prompt and refined it enough to trust it rather well. So we've now pinpointed which of these jobs were posted by staffing firms and which of these jobs were posted by the actual company. So now what we want to do is remove any of the recruitment firms, remove any of the staffing firms. So we're going to go to this column right here. How I made this second column is I went to any one of the cells in this first column right here with ChatGPT. I clicked on it, right? And then it gives me the final out. It gives me all the data points, including this final output right here. And I pressed add as a column, and that'll make you this column right here, and it'll do that for every cell. So it literally just copies this into it, the same answers into its own column. This is just text based instead of this, which is like a bunch of data points, but the service level final answer you see is yes or no. I just like the text because you can filter out by what's in the text. Because what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this column. We're going to press, here, let me zoom in for you guys. You're going to right click on this column. You're going to press filter on this column. I hope I didn't block that. Okay. Right. And let me zoom out so you can see the filter right up here. And you're going to say where that column is equal to no. We only want companies that are not staffing and recruitment firms. So there we go. So out of 23 different rows, so 23 different I can't speak today. 23 different jobs we scraped. 16 of them are the real companies, and 7 of them are staffing and recruitment firms. So that's good. We're on the right track here. All right. So now what we're going to do, so that's step 2. So step 1, we scraped the jobs. Step 2 is we took that job scraped data in that spreadsheet, we put it into Clay, and we got rid of all the staffing and recruitment firms. And let me see. Usually in this step, I would filter out by companies with a certain range of employees. It looks like I didn't import that data, which is fine, because to import that data, I would have had to have selected. That's weird. I didn't have to select that earlier. But that's fine. Doesn't matter. We can do that in the next step. But I would usually filter out companies with more than 500 employees. That's okay. So the primary goal is step 1. Just building out my SOP in real time for you guys. And then step 2 is optional, because you can also do that in step 4. So now we're going to go and we're going to find all the possible hiring managers for this job. So not the HR team, but the actual decision makers, like the C-suite guys or, the director level manager folks. All right. The person in charge of leading whoever is hiring, right? The person who that job, I can't speak today, whoever is overseeing that position, right? Whoever the senior person is. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy all these URLs. So we're going to highlight this and copy. Now we're going to go to Apollo. All right. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to go to ChatGPT and say, give me these in a comma separated list, no duplicates. And yeah, okay, cool. So you're going to paste that in. Looks like that didn't work because hold on. It's lagging on me. Hold on, it's lagging on me. Give me these in a comma separated list, no duplicates, and then you paste the list of URLs in that message, which is what I forgot to do the first time. So there we go. So now it's going to give you these without any duplicates, because sometimes you can have one company with multiple jobs, so it'll give you duplicate URLs. So just going to copy that. Now we're going to go to Apollo. This is step 3 officially. This is officially step 3. We're going to scrape the possible hiring managers from Apollo. Apollo is notoriously slow while I'm screen recording, so forgive me in advance if this lags. All we're going to do, right, is we're going to go to this company section right here where it says company. You're going to hit that. You're going to go to include/exclude list of companies. You are going to go to include list of companies. This is very important because you're going to include the companies by the URL. So you just paste in that list ChatGPT gave you, right? You're going to hit save and search. You're going to hit save and search. There we are. Now, I cheated a little bit because I had this search pre-built. But what you're also going to want to do, if you're building this from scratch, is you're going to go to ChatGPT and you're going to say something to the effect of, give me a list of job titles for a company of, and give your range. You can say 1 to 100 employees, or let's say 11 to 500 employees, for example. Hiring, give me a list of job titles for a company of 11 to 500 employees. Give me a list of job titles of the likely hiring manager for a company of 11 to 500 employees for the job title of a software developer or software engineer, whatever it was. Software engineer, software developer, tomato, it's fine. The same job titles would apply. Forgot to get it in a comma separated list. So step 2 is give these to me in a comma separated list. No HR or TA, which is talent acquisition roles, because we don't want to go out be engaging with HR or talent acquisition folks, because they are going to purposely try and do things themselves and not deal with, most of the time, they don't want to deal with staffing and recruitment firms, i.e. your client. So you're going to copy these roles in a comma separated list. And then you're going to paste that list ChatGPT gave you in here. Right in here in job titles, the job titles section. So you paste it and it'll automatically look like this because it's comma separated. All right. And then what you're going to want to do is give me the job titles to exclude notably HR and TA roles. So these are all the roles of people we don't want to come up in our search. So these are like the HR manager, the talent acquisition manager, the recruiters that work inside the company. So you're going to copy that. You're going to paste that in the exclude section right here. All right. So you paste that there. You paste that there. And then hold on. Paul's lagging again. For email status, I only include verified emails. Even though they're not totally verified, I just don't want mess. I only want what are already verified emails in Apollo, and I do not want to include catch-all emails. You'll get more people this way, but it can get messy too, especially if you're not good at cleaning data. It's the type of stuff that'll burn your inboxes and get you to spam. So I have that. Company, we talked about. Location, I put United States because that's where my client is based. Number of employees, so I only want companies in this range. This is just an example. This changes all the time for us. And you can also do a custom range. So you can hit custom range and you can put like 3 to 13 employees, for example, right? It's going to lag on me again. Of course it is. So employees, and yeah, so you can put the minimum amount of employees and the maximum amount of employees, but for the purposes of this, just to keep it simple, we're just going to go 11 to 500. Again, I would definitely encourage you to do more as you get better and better at this. All right. So now we have all the people who can potentially be hiring managers for the companies from Clay. Because remember, we copied the URLs of each company that had a job posting on LinkedIn. We copied them from Clay, right? We copied these right here. We copied these, we brought them to Apollo, and we pasted them in the company section here on the left. I need a new computer soon. We went over here and we pasted them in this include list of companies. All right. So now it gave us 143 results. Let me just double check to make sure it's recording. Yes, it is. It's just a bit laggy. All right, cool. I can deal with that. So we have our search. Cool. I would highly recommend at this point that you save your search. As you can see here, I saved my search, decision makers, company size, 11 to 500. So I saved my search. This makes it really easy. All in all, this part should take you about 5 minutes. If I wasn't narrating, it'd be super quick for me. Just copy the URLs from Clay, dump them in here. I already have the search pre-made. Get the job titles to include and exclude from ChatGPT. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to copy this URL. You're going to copy the URL of this search. Then you're going to go back to Apify. And just so you're aware, we're on step 3. We're just about to scrape all these contacts from Apollo. All right, so we're on step 3 now. So you're going to go back to Apify, and you're going to go to the Apify store. And then you're going to put Apollo Scraper. Now you can use any one of these. I've used multiple. The one I just happen to be using right now is it's this one right here. Apollo Scraper right here. All right, so I'm just going to go to my saved scrapers, and there it is. So that's the one I was talking about. I just had it saved. And then you're going to paste that URL right there. All right. And then you're going to leave this blank so that it scrapes all of the contacts in Apollo, because we should be expecting, let's see, 143 people right there at the top left. 143 people. It's also at the bottom right there. So we'll go back to Apify, and I select clean output. I have that turned on, and I leave everything else blank. Well, I make sure this is set to no timeout. That should be the default. No maximum limit. That should be the default. And you're going to hit save and start at the bottom. So now this is going to run. This is going to run. And that's already 100 results. So you can see how quick this is. This should be done any second now. All right, so it literally took me 20 seconds to scrape all those contacts, all those leads from Apollo. All right, so you see the first name, last name, email address, so on and so forth, everything you could possibly want. Everything. So now you're going to export this, kind of like we did before on the top right. You're going to hit CSV, and I leave everything blank so that it just includes all the columns, and you just hit download. Easy. So step 3 is done. Step 3 is done. You can see how this happens very quickly. The longest thing, the thing that takes the longest amount of time if you're doing this from scratch is setting up the clay table. But it's worth taking the time to do it. It might take you maybe an hour or 2 hours, but you have the clay table, and you'll see in a second. But it helps you save a ton of time. So now is step 4. So we're going to clean up the hiring managers in clay. So here's a high level overview of what I mean by this and the things we want to achieve in this step right here. So I have my notes. What we want to do, primary things we want to accomplish. We want to match the related job posting to each Apollo contact, right? Number 2, we want to rank the likelihood of this being the decision maker for the role from 1 to 10. I'll show you how to do that. With ChatGPT, it's very easy. 3, we want to validate their email address to make sure it's actually valid and exists, so that you don't go to spam and waste your emails and resources and burn your accounts. 4 is we want to clean the company name, so not like Mercedes-Benz LLC sort of thing. You just want it to be Mercedes-Benz. So clean the company names, and clean the company names and anything else, to be honest, but clean the data. So this is all really simple. So again, I hope you can see that. So that's what we're trying to achieve. All right. So let's do this in clay. So I have 2 tables built, right? So we have one for the job scraping data, which you guys have seen. It's the ones that we worked with, the ones where we put the jobs we scraped from LinkedIn, right? So that's, hold on, that's this right here. And then I'll have a second table to drag in the Apollo contacts. So you're going to build 2 tables, and it's worth it. It doesn't sound, it's not as much work as I might be making it seem. So I'm going to duplicate this so I don't mess up my original tables. All right. So you're going to pretend that this table is blank, as in you don't have any of these column headers right up here, because these won't exist for you. Now, what you're going to do, if you don't know how to make a clay table, it's really easy. Just go to clay.com, make an account, and then right on the home page, it'll show you a big button, kind of like one of these things, where it says new table. You just click that, and it'll take you to this page right here, but you won't have any of these column headers. So now, assuming you're already here and you know how to get here, you're going to press actions, you're going to press import, you're going to import from CSV, kind of like we did last time. You're going to find the spreadsheet you downloaded from Apollo. You're going to leave all this the same. Hit continue. All the columns on the left are in the spreadsheet you got from Apollo that we scraped using Apify. On the right, if you already have this table built as I do, it'll automatically map your columns. So this is why it's nice to just build a table once. You can refine it as you go. You can add columns, delete columns as you realize you don't need them. And as you can see, it automatically maps these. So all I would do is press add to table, and the data is exactly where I want it to be. But for the purpose of this video, let me show you what exactly I'm importing with the spreadsheet of Apollo contacts. So the city and country where the contact is based, the hiring manager or decision maker, their email address, the estimated number of employees of that company, because like I mentioned before, we only want to focus on specific companies. Sometimes, even though we set the range in Apollo, sometimes Apollo goes over or under. Of course, the hiring manager's first name, their headline, which is like VP of product, for example. ID, you don't really need that. I just like that because it's easy to identify these people if I need to in a rare scenario. Their last name, of course, their LinkedIn URL, annual revenue of the company, you don't really need. The company's headquarters, the city, and the country, you don't need that either. It's more for like personalization stuff. When the company was founded, you don't need that. The company LinkedIn URL, you don't need that. The company name, you definitely need that. The company phone number, I just like to have that. It's a nice to have. The company's website, you're going to need that for matching it in the other table, and I'll show you how that works in a second. The state of the company, you don't need that, but I like that for personalization in Smart Lead. And then the state and title, you don't need those either. But this is just what I'm importing just for transparency. You're going to press add to table and save and don't run. All right. So now, let me remove all these filters for you. There we are. So this is the stuff that I just scraped from Apollo. I just scraped it from Apollo. As you can see, there are 142 rows and there were 143 different contacts in Apollo, which is fine because sometimes, there's one or two that are buggy in Apollo that don't get scraped. So let's go back to Clay. All right, so these are all the potential hiring managers. Now we have all these hiring managers, but we need to make sure that they tie in and match to the job, right? Some of these folks may have nothing to do with the job because some of these companies are huge, right? And, or we just want to make sure that the people we scraped actually match up with the company from LinkedIn. We want to make sure that these guys are actually from the same company, right? You just never know what's going to happen. So first thing I'm going to do, and let's go back to our sheet, is we're going to match the related job posting in our original table. From table 1 to each Apollo contact in new table 2. I'll show you how to do that. It's very, very, very simple. Very simple. Very, very, very simple. Very, 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 very simple. Let me just get orientated here. Okay. Let's get orientated here. Hold on. How did I do this before? One second, guys. Let me just refresh. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So now what you're going to do is, why didn't this copy over? Maybe I should just show you my original table. One second here. Oh, it did copy over. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that, guys. Little hiccup. All right. So all this data came from Apollo. Right? All this data came from Apollo. You can see the first name, last name, title, headline, emails, so on and so forth. Now we want to match them to the job. We want to match them to the job because we're going to pull in some of that information into this table because this is going to be the final table where we personalize and do all that fun stuff, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to press add new column or add enrichment, either or. Let's go with add enrichment, top right. Then you're going to press AI. Then you're going to press use AI. No, there's an easier way to do it here. Hold on. You're going to press add enrichment. And in the search bar, you're gonna type in look up, and you are going to go to look up single row in other table. Right there. And then let me just use this so that I don't mess it up for you. What it's going to do is it's going to give you this, sorry guys, it's going to give you this menu here, and you select your Clay account. I won't go through the details of that right now. So the table to search, you're going to select the first table with the job scraping data that from LinkedIn, right, with the company URLs. So you're going to put that here on the top one, the table to search. The column you're going to target, so how we're going to match these guys to, how we're going to match these contacts to the job posting and the company that's hiring, is we're going to target the company URL, right? And filter operator, you're going to press contains. And for the row value, you're going to put slash, and then you're going to put the name of the column that has the company URL that you scraped from Apollo. So in this case, Apollo labeled it as this organization primary domain. This is from Apollo. Oh, the lag is crazy. So there we are. And are you going to hit save? And don't run. So what that's going to do, again, just drop a comment if you have any questions on this. Let me just go to my my original table here, because I don't want to waste credits here. If only this wasn't going to lag so much. All right. So what that's going to do is it's going to give you a column like this, where it says record found, record found, record found, record found, which is pretty much Clay saying, yep, we found this contact, or this contact works at a company that matches one of the companies from LinkedIn. So that's good. They might be a hiring manager because they work at that company. So you're going to want you want to click on these cells, any one of them, and you'll see this bundle of information. It'll say 19 different data points, for example. So you hit the drop down there, and from here we're pretty much pulling all the information from the job scraping table number 1. Right? So you have the job description, you got the company name and all this fun stuff, right? So for each of these, you can turn them into their own column, which is essentially what I did with all these columns right here. So from here, I pulled the job title, right? So we pull the job title from the other table into this table. I pulled whether it's a full-time or contract role, the salary, the job description as well, right? And the company description. Sometimes I didn't have it, but that's okay because we have the company description from Apollo if I were to scroll over to the right. So now we're good here, okay? So we've officially done number 1. This is done. This is good. Put a little check mark here. Check. All right. Now, second goal we want to achieve is to rank the likelihood of this person being the actual decision maker for this role. We're going to do that by using ChatGPT to rank it from 1 to 10. So you make a column here. I won't go through the basics of how to make a ChatGPT column. Well, I'll do it in summary, but press add enrichment, press AI, use AI, press configure, model, you click here, you select ChatGPT. I use 4.0 mini. You don't have to. I use my own account because I don't want to use Clay credits, and then you type in your prompt right here. All right, and then you hit save at the bottom. Now, my prompt, don't save. My prompt looks something like this. Currently, it's always changing. So you're provided with the data about a contact, a job position, an open job position, the company size, and a job description. Your task is to analyze these data points to determine the likelihood that this contact is the direct decision maker or hiring manager for the open role. And so I map the columns of the open job title, the estimated number of employees, right? Because if you have a company of 500 employees, the hiring manager is probably not the same title as a company with 10 employees. It's probably just going to be the CEO if it's a company of 10 employees all the time. So I mapped all these columns and gave it a couple of examples. There we go. Give it a couple of examples. And then you just hit save, right? You just hit save. And then it's going to rank these from 1 to 10. And you got to double check. Do a spot check of 5 to 10 of them, because you might have to play around with the prompt, but I like this prompt. And so here I outputted the response into its own column, the final response like I showed before. And then I filtered for anything an 8 or above. Filter 8 or above right there. All right. I also filtered estimated number of employees to 500 as well. Cool. So that's done. So these guys are most likely, or ranked to most likely be the hiring managers. It's not super accurate, but it's good enough. So now we have officially done step 2. Very easy. By the way, step 4 is the longest part. This might take you 30 minutes, depending on how new you are. You know, if this is your first attempt. My first attempt, this took me about 35 minutes, but I was doing a lot of the clay building and stuff like that. But I'm rather good in clay. At least I'd like to think. This might take you about 45 minutes if you're not good at clay. Now this would probably take me about 20 minutes, if that. So we've ranked the likelihood of this being the decision maker for the role from 1 to 10, and we are only doing 8 and above. Filter for only 8 and above. Cool. Step 3 is we want to validate their email address to make sure it's actually valid and exists. So I use Mail Tester Ninja for this. A lot of people like Million Verifier or Lead Bounce or whatever it might be. I use Mail Tester Ninja. If you're not familiar with Mail Tester Ninja, it's this one right here. It just works really well. It's very cost effective, and you can integrate it into Clay. I won't show you how to do that. If you want to know how to do that, you can leave a comment and I'll make a video on that. And so I have a column right here. This is the API for Mail Tester Ninja. All right. My nose is runny. So now here, what I would do is run this column, and it'll output whether the email address was accepted, meaning it's valid, or whether it was rejected. Here, I'll show you what that looks like. There we go. Whether it was accepted or rejected. You can see these two right here, if Clay wasn't so laggy and slow for me. Or if it has an error, so on and so forth. And you can also see if it's a Google email or a Microsoft email, so on and so forth, or if it's other, like a private SMTP. Now, of course, we only want to reach out to people, before we do anything further and waste any more credits, we only want to reach out to people with valid email addresses. So we've, whoops, wrong column. There. Delete that. We want to filter on this column right here. Oh no, this was the right column. Filter on this right here. And so deliverability is what I've named that column, is equal to accepted. All right. And there we go. So these are folks with valid email addresses. Boom, done, right? So we've officially finished step 3. Again, let me put something down here. This should take you 30 minutes. For me, it takes me about 20. All right. change the color, light orange. This step right here, step 3, took us what did I write down? This took me 5 minutes, so I'll say 10 for you. This is your first time. Cleaning job data, this took me 10 minutes as well, but I'll just say 15 to 20 for you. I'll say 15. Well, it depends on how good you are. So, and then LinkedIn job scraped. I mean, this was the easiest thing in the world. This will take you 5 minutes if you just do what I said. So I'll know 30, 40, 50, 55, something like that. Yeah, I'll put this at 15. There, so it's nice within an hour. All right, so we have officially done the third part of this final phase. Now we're just going to clean the company names and clean the data. So we're going to go back into Clay, and I have a column here that uses Gemini. This is Google's AI, and what I'm doing here is cleaning the company name, because if you can just take a quick look right here, this is the organization name from Apollo, as it's written in Apollo, right? And as you can see, a lot of them have like the full complete legal company name, so like multimedia, LLC, which is what we don't want, or Curative AI Inc. We want to get rid of those LLCs, incs.com, so on and so forth. And so I use Gemini because Gemini is essentially free, and I'll show you what my prompt looks like. So prompt, the general gist is you're tasked with normalizing the company names by extracting the most distinctive and memorable element and removing generic terms such as LTD, Inc., and similar suffixes, right? So normalize the company name in this column. Remove anything that's like Corp, LLC, Co, Technologies, Ventures, etc., right? Give it a couple of examples, and then it just does it. So it cleans all the company names. We're good. I also have this column right here, which you don't need, but this is just to confirm that this contact is actually based in the US. And I do that by looking at the state. So the prompt is just like, hey, look at this column where it has the contact state, and just confirm that the state actually exists in the United States. So that's that. That part will take a few minutes because Gemini is a little slow. Slower than ChatGPT at least. But you're done here. You've cleaned all the data. You're done. Now you can get more fancy if you want more personalization. Like you can add a column to extract the top 3 most important skills from the job description, and you can use that as a variable in Smart Lead. So that's something I'm going to integrate as well. But this is just a very straight, simple personalization and workflow in Clay that works really well. So that's done, and then you just export that, and then you're good. And so from there, what I would do is I would upload that into Smart Lead. I'm not going to go to Smart Lead right now because talk about lag. And I would put first name as a custom variable, obviously, so you can write, hey, first name. Wanted to reach out because I had a couple of resumes, X, Y, and Z, that you should look at, right? So first name is going to be a custom variable, not a custom variable, but a variable in Smart Lead, the first name variable in Smart Lead. I might use state as a custom variable. I definitely would use job title as a custom variable, so that the job posting, right? Saw you were looking for a job title, right? So saw you were looking for a software engineer, and that's really it. That's it, guys. So all in all, I mean, I was very generous and being very conservative with this. Again, I timed this today. This took me about 45 minutes. I gave you an hour, so you have a 15-minute buffer. But again, you can make this the last task in your day, or right when you're drinking your morning coffee, and you can continue to pump a Smart Lead campaign, or continue to make iterations with a campaign. Change this based on, and here I'll put this, adjust campaign by playing with different company sizes, job, open job position titles, so not just software developers, but you can be like data scientists, right? you know, the campaign copy itself, right? So you adjust the campaign like that, but this is the workflow in a nutshell. So if you have a staffing and recruitment agency as a client in your lead generation business, or you run a staffing and recruitment firm yourself and you want to just build your own lead machine, I mean, that is how you would do it. So I hope that was simple enough. Not a 101 video, but more so a 201, because I'm assuming you knew certain things. Like I'm assuming you know your way around Clay a little bit. Maybe you already have an Appify account, or you know how to integrate ChatGPT into Clay. So if you have any other questions about that, just leave a comment. Otherwise, see you guys in the next video. I hope that helped. By the way, if you want us to do this for you, if you run a B2B business and you're doing over $20,000 in monthly recurring revenue, and you'd like us to set up and run or manage your cold email campaigns for you to generate you leads, I'll leave the link in my description below to my website, and we can have a chat. All right, guys, see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.